Yes, people. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Hope you're all well. I hope you're all having wonderful days. Hit the like button. We're here for the next hour or so. Chatting Ollie, Maurizio Pochettino. I want to speak to Gooners. It's been nearly 24 hours since your disappointing defeat. And I've seen Arteta out trending. Gooners everywhere losing their minds over this abysmal performance against AC Villa. Absolutely tearing it up. But listen, smash that like button, hit the share button as well. Skype lines are going to open. Make sure you search Football Terrace FC, give us a call, and sign up to our mail list. I know quite a few of you have had the mail this afternoon to let you know we were going live, and we're here. Get your super chats in as well, people. We want to hear from you. I need to sort this chair out. It's a little uncomfortable. That's better. There we go. Hashtag Ollie in is from Kevo there. Yes, and I know everyone's got a different view and opinion on it, but we're going to go through it over the next hour or so. We really are. I love the comment section. I love the beginning of the comment section. Everyone's just throwing in their salt, throwing in their insults and stuff like that. It's amazing. Okay, look at this. Everyone, they're all going at each other. They're all going at each other here. But Gooners, I want to hear from you. How you feeling 24 hours later? What's your reaction to some Arsenal fans taking to social media and calling for Arteta to be sacked? We're going to speak Maurizio Pochettino and his reported fury with Ed Woodward. And what is now going to happen with Ollie being sacked? Will he be moved on? Should he be moved on? And do you know what the real interesting point here is? All those United fans that said to us this time last week, the ball, they're not the problem. The ball, they're not the issue. It's all about Ollie. He has to go. He's incompetent. Tear. He wins a game, and it now looks like this board are not going to remove him. So the incompetent PE teacher with no plan that can't manage that's ruining this club is going to stay in position because the board you say are very good are going to keep him there. I want your thoughts and feelings on that. First up, we've got Zach on the line, who is an Arsenal fan. Smash the like button right now, people, by the way. Let's get this past 1,000 likes, please. Zach, Arteta in the mud today with a lot of Gooners. What's your thoughts and feelings, Zachy?
All right. Firstly, I want to call out this guy, Leo Kakashia, getting the bin, talking about Jorginho is better than Bruno Fernandes, firstly. And secondly, Arteta out. I saw that as well. I just don't disagree. I disagree strongly, in my opinion, because managers take time. People need to understand that. It's a process. It takes time. There's going to be setbacks. Everyone knows there's going to be setbacks. Arsene Wenger did not start very good, did he? Alex Ferguson, did he start very good? No. Managers need time, first of all. And secondly, the match yesterday, that was very disappointing. The thing is, this has happened to many teams this season. We've seen Liverpool go out and lose 7-2. This has been happening this season. And now Arsenal fans are really reactionary. Straight after a loss, they go crazy, okay? And when if he's backed properly, I'm talking about Awar and some other creative players that we need and another decent centre-back, we could be back in the top 4 again next season. Not now, it's too late now. But guys, just calm down, okay? Arteta needs time. He's shown that he has some quality. It's going to take this process.
Do you know what?
And he admitted his mistake.
You are right. You're absolutely right in terms of him being given time. I think calling for him to be sacked now, I do think is premature. There's no doubt about that at all in my mind. What I would say is I get you need more attacking players, but you were 2-0 down and had 10 men behind the ball. 1 minute into the game, 20 minutes into the game, you had 11 men practically in your box defending, which makes it, by the way, almost impossible to counterattack. Even when a team is defending a corner, you invariably will have 2 people one maybe between the box and the halfway line, one guy on the halfway line, so that if the ball breaks out for a counter-attack, there's outlets to give the ball to. There doesn't seem to be or very little attacking prowess in Arsenal's team across the board. And yes, you can pull, oh, well, we beat Man United. You did, and you deserved it. But when I watch Arsenal play, it seems to be the lack, as I say, the lack of attacking kind of prowess and want. There doesn't seem to be a huge attacking outlet within the system of Mikel Arteta, and that's something that's got to change. And this is where I think it can go wrong for Arteta. Arsenal fans are not patient, and your board are about as hair trigger as the Manchester United board. They're what I call wind merchants. They go with whatever direction the wind is blowing in. Lee Gunner gets that absolutely right. And if you guys start to open up more, concede more, lose more, it will not take long for people to call Arteta a fraud, overrated, the Spanish Pulis, what's ever going to come in, and they'll call for his head. And I think that's where Arteta has been trying to get the balance right. The problem is, I think the 3-4-3 formation may just have been worked out by opponents. Now, there was holes found in it yesterday, massive holes that even the excellence of Thomas Partey couldn't fill in the first half. It should have been 2-0 down in that period. And in the second half, too deep, too negative. And a team, as long as you've got a bit of creativity in your team, I think you're gonna be able to open them up. And as soon as you guys tried to get back in the game when you went 2-0 down, they picked you off and could have scored 2 or 3 more goals on the counter. Zach, thank you very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate your contributions to the Football Terrace at all times. Get your super chats in, people. Phone in via Skype right now. Sign up to our newsletter. The link for that is in the description below. And you can become a member for as little as 99p per month. I'm going to speak about the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer situation in Maurizio Pochettino. Big articles today talking about United dicing with trouble with Maurizio. Maurizio has basically told the club he is willing to join, but he wants to come in soon. To not leave him waiting for the remainder of this season. And this is stereotypical Manchester United. We had an opportunity to sign Poch before we gave the permanent role to Ollie, but we decided to go for the cheaper option. Rather than spend the £40 million to get him out his Tottenham contract, we decided to go for the cheaper alternative in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We now have the ability to bring him in, but the board are too chicken to make a decision. They don't want to do something that goes against the grain. They don't want to be seen to be failing again. I think if the board could get away with it, they'd rather wait until the end of the season, hopefully try and scrape Europe in one way, shape, or form, and then look to move the manager on. The problem we have right now is Man United are running the risk of losing Maurizio Pochettino to another football club. If City, who I think may come in for him, if PSG come in and say, listen, we're going to make an offer now, whether it's for next year or not, that wouldn't bother me. If we said, right, Poch is going to be the manager from next season, Ollie's going no matter what, at least we know. Man United, in my opinion, if we want to secure Poch, whoever we want to secure, we have got to get that done now. I think if we get caught on our heels watching the parade go by and miss out on another top manager, you can put Poch, you can put him into the same category as missing out on Pep and missing out on Klopp when we did. The planning of this football club is atrocious. It really, really is. And if Ollie was one game away from being sacked, it means he hasn't been good enough. One victory, in my opinion, shouldn't be enough to maintain his job. But it will be. It will be. And if we beat West Brom and we beat Istanbul and we get a decent result against Man City, which are all plausible, his job's then safe till after Christmas. By then, we could lose Pochettino. He has come out and basically delivered an ultimatum to Man United saying, get me signed up now, get me penciled in or get me completely in as your new manager. Otherwise, I'm going to look elsewhere. Manchester United fans, how do you feel about this situation? If you're Ollie in, maybe you're happy with it. If you're Ollie out, this has to infuriate you. It has to infuriate you because it's more poor decision-making and poor running of the football club. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. We're going to get Kish on the line now to give us his say on things. Kish, welcome back to the Football Terrace. What are you saying, buddy?
Yes, sir. I just want to talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I just want to state before going further that sometimes I think fans.
Are you there still?
how clubs go about seeking managers and how they go about sacking managers. As the previous caller said, Arteta needs time. And if you look at the players that he currently have, some of them are still under the Unai Emery regime and Arsene Wenger as well. But with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now, Terry, I think that this is a big season for him in terms of how the league is open now. And I think that we should give him until December to see where the club is at in terms of the league table and, the footballing as well. Because I think that when he came in, the football kind of improved. And I think this season, as the just stated, it was a rough.
Your signal's really bad, Kish. Try and call us back with better signal. I get where you're coming from. My concern again, though, but we're giving Ollie more time, is if you can end up throwing the season away. That's my concern. You can end up throwing the season away. We've got Epic Nin on the show next. Epic Nin, what you saying, my friend?
Yeah, I was surprised seeing Arsenal fans saying Arteta out after going all in Arteta in, and after just one game they decided, oh, you know what, just Arteta out. Unfortunately, that FA Cup paved it all over the cracks for Arsenal fans, and try and think, oh, top four, having a trophy is better. An FA Cup is better than having a Champions League spot.
Look, an FA Cup's brilliant, but you're right about one thing, and I said this to a lot of Gooners in the summer, and people always think I'm being salty when I give my opinions. They think I'm coming from a place of, I don't know, just banter and whatnot. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Arsenal had a freak result against Liverpool in the league, where they actually had one chance on goal all game, but scored 2 goals because of a bad own goal, and they scraped the game 2-1. I think it was 2-1. Might have been 2-0. Let's just say they won the game. And then they had 2, what I thought were excellent back-to-back pragmatic performances against Man City and Chelsea, respectively, in the FA Cup, and they won things. They then did the same thing in the league, in the Community Shield against Liverpool Football Club, and did very, very well and got the result. Since then, their performances, barring beating Fulham at the beginning of the season, their performances have been very underwhelming. Defensively, very, very sound. But the longer things have gone on, we were told and we were promised by Gooners, and they were sort of felt they were promised that they would become a bit more expansive and a bit more entertaining and mix it up a little bit. But one second, mate. But they haven't done that. And now Aubameyang isn't scoring. Lacazette isn't scoring. Willian has come to the clubs, not getting assists. He's not scoring. Pepe, we know where he's at. They've been pretty good defensively, but every other aspect of their game is going backwards. And I don't know whether it's the players getting a little bit bored of it. I don't know whether it's clubs that have found them out, but they need some variation to their game. They are going up against teams like Villa, teams like West Ham, and they are sitting back and having 10, 11 men behind the ball whenever those teams attack. It's terrible. Well, Mulder, they did it. Yeah. It's terrible. And it's only going to lead. That negativity, I think, is starting to manifest itself heavily on the pitch. I think the players are looking a little bit bored of the system. I don't think the players would be sad doing that against Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. But when they're up against Aston Villa, when they're up against West Ham, they want to attack. Teams. People always talk about Diego Simeone. Diego Simeone is pragmatic against the bigger, more powerful teams, but they attack and dismantle the medium and lesser sized teams. They're not doing. Arsenal are simply not doing that.
I personally think that they should go for like a Simeone. If they're going to play that defensive football, he will be the right man to. And also, I think that Arteta is only focused on one formation, and at some point he's going to get found out, unfortunately, and he needs to have a bit of variation in this game, and also the stubbornness. I just don't understand, right? Saliba, you're telling me that Saliba, according to I didn't say I'm assuming that apparent to Arteta, Saliba ain't better than Mustafi, Kolasinac. Who else are the club?
Well, look, on Saliba, Saliba's in a situation, where I don't think he's adapted quick enough to English life. I know he's obviously had a very bad bereavement in the family. And at the same time, Epic Nin, thank you for calling the show. At the same time, I get the little feeling that Saliba's turned up in training and everybody's I don't think he's as good as everybody anticipated him to be. Got a Gooner on the line now. What are you saying, my friend?
I'm good.
H,
I'm good.
yeah, how you doing? What do you want to say, my friend?
I was gonna say that about Arsenal because I'm an Arsenal fan, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And last night, I don't understand why he said us. Why we still playing three at the back? We should have went 4-3-3, put Aubameyang in the middle, and then get Pepe and Saka on the left.
But
Play more attack.
but you know why you're not doing that, right?
Yeah, but I don't understand why we play defensive football. We don't even have the defense to hold like other teams from like scoring goals. We just like I don't know what we're doing. We're just sitting back doing nothing. with the
But do you
ball,
know
like,
why it is? It's because you have got weak players in your team in the sense of that they're not of the standard. Whenever you open up, you get exposed. And Arteta got exposed in quite a few games until he went with this 3-4-3 formation. The reason you use it is because you basically have a 5 at the back as soon as you lose the ball, and then your 2 wide players, generally Aubameyang and let's say Willian or Pepe if he's there, they drop into central roles. So you have 5 at the back, 4 in midfield, and then you have 1 attacking player through the middle. But that 1 attacking player is now dropping deep. So you often find yourselves with between 9 to 10 men behind the ball, sometimes 11. And then you become very, very deep. And I think that this play is now it's entrenched itself so much because you're doing it in every game. When you first started, you were only doing it against the big teams. But as time's gone on, again, you started with 5 at the back against Dundalk in the in the Europa League. That is cementing this way of playing, and your team is becoming more and more negative, and you can't play out. And now you can't play out. You're not scoring, and when you don't score goals, you're not going to win games.
Yeah, that's true. The thing is, like, even I was gonna say that, like Aubameyang, he's tracking back a lot, and he has to do defending. And when he gets the chance to score, he's already tired and he can't shoot. That's the thing. Our strikers look tired. They all look knackered because they're always tracking back.
Absolutely right. I remember one of the greatest players of all time in the Premier League, Thierry Henry, giving the advice to Wayne Rooney, and he said, "Wayne, you need to stop running around the pitch so much. You need to reserve energy for the other end of the pitch, so you'll finish and you'll score more goals." And Wayne Rooney took on that advice when he got moved into a central striker role, and I wouldn't say he was lazy, but he was less he was a little bit more economical with his running and his tracking back and his tackling. And he scored over 30 goals that season. Next year, he was moved out into a wide position, so had to do that for the team. But it makes sense. And I just feel like Aubameyang, he can do a job on the left-hand side and he can score goals from the left. But I think you're taking away, he is a potent striker, one of the best finishers in the world. And at the moment, Mikel Arteta is paying him £375,000 a week to basically be a Park Ji-sung and chase people around the pitch and track people down and hurry people. And he's worth a lot more than that. And Arteta has got to sort it out. Let me ask you a question. What do you want to see Arteta change after the international break?
I feel like we should change the formation to stop playing 3 at the back. Like, go 4 at the back and let's see if it works. Like, you need to like change your formation all the time. You don't have to go with 1 because that worked for like 3 games. I think the Chelsea game and the City game. It's not gonna work.
And look at changing it. Listen, my bro, I appreciate you coming on and having your say. Skyplines are open. People, hit that like button right about now. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling. Man United fans, give us a call. I've seen a comment from iTest saying that he's now Ollie in. iTest, give us a call. I want to know what the hell you mean by you're now Ollie in. We've got TJ United on the show now. TJ, what do you want to say?
Yeah, Terry. Wagwan, Terry.
How you doing, my friend? What do you want to talk about, buddy?
The Pochettino thing and the Ole thing.
Yeah, give me your opinions, my man.
I think Pochettino is a better coach, but I'm more worried about the board, Terry. I'm on your side.
I'm
on your side, Terry.
Tell me.
I worry about the board.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Because, say, for instance, Poch comes in. Remember, Ole gave them a list and didn't get anyone on the list.
A
list of players he wanted, and they never delivered one of them. So maybe that's the same way they're going to deal with Pochettino.
They've done it to every manager since Fergie retired at some stage. And like I've said, I hope and pray that they treat Poch when he comes in differently. But they can't even keep promises to Poch right now. They've had meetings with Poch about him coming in to replace Ollie because Ollie looked like he was going to be sacked. One good victory away at Everton, and it's, we're not going to sack him now. This board have no plan. They have no backbone. They keep no promises
Right.
to their managers. They are the problem. And the irony in all the numpties that were saying, no, it's not the board, it's just Ollie. The board are the reason that Ollie's still here, and we haven't got Poch announced this morning as our new manager. That
And remember, Terry, they're the one who hired him in March. All they had to did was just wait until May, and we would have been in a total different situation right now. That goes to the incompetence of the board, because they jumped the gun and give the man the job in March when they could have just waited 2 more months.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more, TJ. And people that cannot see, listen, you can debate Ollie's tactics until you're blue in the face. You can debate Jose's attitude. You can debate Pogba's consistency, Bruno's arrogance, Rashford's decision making, Maguire being a fridge. You can have all these thoughts. TJ, thank you very much for coming on the show. You can have all these thoughts you want, but this board are going to continue to make mistake after mistake after mistake. We've got eye test on the show now. Before we go to eye test, GNA TV with the first super chat says, yo, Terry, it's the realist AC on another account. Just here to say I'm here supporting you, brother. Thank you, my man, for the super chat and donation. Everyone who's tuning in, though, there's nearly 2,000 people watching. We're on 282 likes. Come on, man. Let's push this past 1,000 likes right now, ladies and gentlemen. We've got eye test on the show that now says he's Ollie in. Eye test, explain your thought process to me, please.
No, I still want Ollie out. But what I was thinking is maybe keep him till the end of the season, because right now there's not many good options. What I want is my dream manager is Ancelotti. So what I think is we should, if we know we could get Ancelotti at the end of the season, I would actually keep Ollie till the end of the season and try to get Ancelotti. A lot of people would say he wouldn't come, but he's at Everton. And obviously Everton have a project. But if Man United come to Ancelotti and say, come over here, we're going to offer you the job, I think he'd say yes. I think also if you wait till the summer, you could probably get Brendan Rodgers. There's more options in the summer. Right now, there's only Poch out there. And
well, look, listen, I get your train of thought, and it makes sense, but you're acting like this board has a plan, mate. You're acting like this board thinks ahead. You're acting like this board could actually hatch a plan of that level without dismantling this particular season. And interestingly, I mean, which manager right now in the world, we won't get Pep or Klopp because of who they're managing. Who would be your number one choice?
The options are looking very, very poor, low quality. We made the big mistake for not getting Pep or Klopp, but the dream is Ancelotti. Somehow get him out of Everton. That's who I want.
Is that? Do you want just Ancelotti? I mean, you've called this show 200 times probably in the last couple of years. I've never heard you mention Ancelotti. Is it because he had a good start to? You do realize he just lost 3 games on the bounce and hasn't won in 4 league games.
Okay, but look how many Champions Leagues he's had.
Yes, he has. Do you still think he's got? What I'm saying is, do you still think Ancelotti is good enough to make Man United the best team in Europe again?
He's one of the best managers of all time. I don't know how anyone can say.
No, he is.
He's not.
That isn't what I said. That isn't what I said. Is he still good enough to make Manchester United the best team in Europe? Because that has to be the aim. The next manager can't come in and be I don't want the next. I like Nagelsmann, right? I'm happy for a manager like Nagelsmann to come in and take 2 or 3 years to get us back, 3 or 4 years to get us back to the top. I don't think Man United can afford that. Our fans are too trigger happy. We want almost instant success. So you need to bring a manager that can come in and do that. Do you think Ancelotti is that guy?
I think he's the best realistic option out there, because obviously you can't get Pep.
See, I don't think he's realistic. I don't think he's realistic. The fact that he's just joined Everton, I think he has a bit more integrity about him than that. I think he started a project there and wouldn't just walk away for no reason without being backed. I also don't think he'd want to work with this board. I think the board at Everton are more likely to put faith in him and trust him and give him what he wants, as opposed to Manchester United. And why don't you want Poch?
No, there's a couple managers that I would want before Poch, like Ancelotti, like Brendan Rodgers.
Why Brendan Rodgers? Brendan Rodgers is not one. I know he won stuff in Scotland, but he was in a one-horse race. Why Brendan Rodgers?
You see, this is something I want to address. I said this on a comment a couple videos back. I don't understand why people don't give Brendan Rodgers as much respect as Pochettino. This guy has done just as much as Pochettino. Just as look what he's done with Liverpool. He nearly won the league. If Gerrard didn't slip,
no,
he'd be a Premier
but that isn't true. It isn't just about Gerrard not slipping. See, that's fan talk. See, this is where your football knowledge stems from banter, my dear friend. That slip is an iconic moment. Conceding 3 goals after being I think they're 3-0 up against Crystal Palace is an iconic moment. But I watched that season and I remember listening to Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville talking. And this was maybe 4 or 5 games prior to the slip. And they turned around and said, the biggest issue with Liverpool is they're conceding too many goals. Defensively, they're not sound. They win games by outscoring their opponents. And they both basically said, although it's exciting, that isn't a sustainable way to try and win a league title. It just isn't, because they're always vulnerable at the back. And in the end, what did Liverpool in was they were vulnerable at the back and they conceded too many goals. They were too exposed and too open at all times. That, for me, always goes unnoticed. Equally with Brendan Rodgers in his English league career, not what he did in Scotland, but as again, he wasn't being challenged in Scotland like Gerrard's challenging things now. This was earlier on than that. He got out of there at the right time, just as Rangers were on the way back up. Every single season at the highest level, Brendan Rodgers in the Premier League, he's bottled something. Now, listen, that's the same criticism you could put on Poch's head. I'm not saying don't employ Brendan Rodgers. I just don't understand why you're sort of so hell-bent on managers who haven't achieved anything. Yes, they play more attractive football, but they haven't won anything. They're both renowned for bottling things. I don't understand why they're so... I can't understand why they're so high up on your list.
Well, that's not true, because when I first came in, I said Ancelotti is my first option.
Okay, but you said realistic. Ancelotti's not realistic in my opinion, but you mentioned Brendan Rodgers and Poch on the show a lot. I concede that they're better managers and more experienced managers than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I concede that straight away. We'll play better football under them. But Man United's standard has got to be to get to the highest level. I'm talking about you here, not other Man United fans. I have the patience to give Poch 4 years to make us Premier League champions. I have the patience for Nagelsmann to have 4 or 5 years to get us back to the top. I have that patience. And I think fans will be a little bit more forgiving if the football is more attractive. I don't think you're in that space. You are a quintessential glory hunter that wants trophies now. You don't care about the tapestry of the club. You don't care about the heritage of Manchester United. You disrespect our legends on a very regular basis. I bet you don't even know who Wilf McGuinness is. You know, I guarantee you don't know nothing about Manchester United, and that's fine. You're a consumer. You're a customer of the club. So you wouldn't give Brendan Rodgers, you wouldn't give Poch more than 18 months before you started calling for their head if they weren't quite ready. So I don't get why you would pick managers that have not yet established. No, it is true. It is true. It is true.
I would
100% true.
If they give me something to buy into. The reason I'm only out now is because I've seen him change his system so many times.
He hasn't changed his system. This is where you don't understand football. He's not changed his system. Changing your formation isn't changing your system. They're not the same. A formation is the base position. Hang on a minute. No, it hasn't. He has two. No, it hasn't. It's a myth and a lie. It isn't. No, we play 2 different ways. I test. So tell me how we play 2 different ways. We play counter-attacking football, and we play the fluid football, which is very direct, 4 or 5 passes, and we look to be in the opponent's box. The formation that we set up in is primarily done to counter the formation of the team that's in front of us so that territories are not dominated. And in the vast majority of big games, we've got that right. And in some of the smaller games, it's not really about the territories. It's about being able to break people down. And he hasn't got it right often enough against smaller teams. I concede that. But we've had 2 styles. And often we adapt both those styles in the same game. Against PSG and RB Leipzig, they're case in points, where we play counter-attack football in the earlier stages. And then we played a more aggressive, direct football, the fluid football in the second half of those games and came out on top. Just because you change formation doesn't mean you're changing your style. This is an absolute myth that's created by football hipsters that doesn't exist. Ollie teams playing two ways, very direct, fluid football or counter-attack football. That's been it the whole time. The formation could be 10 different formations in a game. The style of football remains the same. You know, Pep Guardiola doesn't change his style of football, whether he's playing a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3. The formations are there to protect particular territories on the pitch. Everybody knows that about football, bro.
That's not true, because when Oli
It is true. It is true. It's completely true.
High intensity style of football when he first came in, that for that half season, high intensity football, high press. Then the second season, at the beginning of
just stop for a second. Stop for a second. I don't want you to embarrass yourself, I test. Man United still high press, but you can't high press against teams that don't have the ball and sit behind it. You high press against teams that are coming at you and trying to play. And we do that in our counter-attacking game, but we do it in the right areas of the pitch. We press when they're deep in their own half, or we press them at the edge of our box. When the ball's in the middle, we don't. You're literally making things up, I test. All the things you're saying we used to do, we do still do. All that happened in those opening games is we won a lot of those football matches. And do you know why? Because teams weren't sure how Ollie's team were going to set up. And then what happens is teams went, okay, well, we'll sit behind the ball, see if you can break us down. And as soon as teams started sitting back against us and we started failing to win, more teams started to do it. Have you noticed that most teams that open up against us and attack, we have a very good win percentage against because we use the high intensity press? We struggle to break teams down, and that's Ollie's biggest flaw. And if Ollie could master that, if Ollie could invent a third system that broke down low blocks better, there'd be no issue with him. That's as far as as I see those things, as it were. Anyway, that's just my opinion on them. Anyway, I test. So you're going to support Ollie for the rest of the season now, then?
If it means we could get someone like Ancelotti at the end of the season, I'm happy to keep Ollie till the end of the season, because Ancelotti is the main man for me.
You're an interesting guy, I test. You're a very interesting guy. I appreciate you following the show, supporting the channel as always, mate. I do appreciate that as ever, even though we disagree on most things. But listen, you take care of yourself, buddy, and we'll speak to you again soon. Thank you. I test there wants him in, wants Ancelotti as the new manager. That guy changes his mind like the weather. And I stand by what I say. Nothing's changed in Ollie's system. Ollie's just added new elements. The irony is this. I want Ollie to have a plan B and a plan C. I want him to try different things in games. I want him to show tactical nous to change things. So he adds new elements to his game. Some work, some don't. And then people moan that he's changing his approach. You can't ask somebody to have tactical variety and actually accuse them of having no tactical nous and then moan that they change their tactics. That's an oxymoron. That is the quintessential oxymoron. It really is. Hit that like button, people, right about now for us. Thank you very much to Marcus for becoming an Academy member of the Football Terrace. That means a great deal to us. And Edward Waters here with a super chat. We're going to read that in just a second. Says, my issue with Ollie is the coaching structure, and the inconsistency with the results and personal selection. How do I get involved in call-in? Edward, just search Football Terrace FC on Skype and call in. And Edward, I don't disagree with what you said there. My bugbear was when people tell me that Ollie has no tactics. And then Arteta said that. Ollie has no tactics. And then he tells me that he keeps changing his tactics. You can't not have tactics if you keep changing your tactics. They don't all work, but that means he has tactical nous. He's trying new things. I think these are people, they just want to overly criticize. Does he implement his tactics to the best of his ability at all times? The answer's no. We know this. But the only tactic that he hasn't really installed particularly well has been breaking down low block teams. Like if we're not going to nitpick, that's about it. Ram's on the show with us now. Ram, what do you want to say, bro?
Yeah, Terry, can you hear me, right?
Yeah.
I just want to talk about this Ollie thing. And I think I just heard what Ita said, especially after that Brendan Rodgers thing, which is entertaining to say the least. But yeah, I think a perfect manager for you might be hopefully if he gets the language barrier done, would be Massimiliano Allegri. I think for you guys, because he's obviously worked with players, the top players with top personalities, and I think quite a lot of the United fans are complaining about how Ollie can sometimes not get the best out of these players, and I think Massimiliano Allegri is the man that can do that for you guys, in my humble opinion.
I don't think that's a bad choice. The problem he's going to have, and this isn't my opinion, this is knowing the Man United fan base, is he's perceived to be pragmatic. He's perceived to be, he isn't one of these sort of managers that the football hipsters love, because the football isn't going to be free-flowing, very fast, attacking, kind of Pep-esque. And that's going to frustrate some people. However, out of all the available managers in the world right now, he is the one with the highest pedigree, with the highest sort of CV in terms of winning the biggest trophies, getting to Champions League finals, winning league campaigns. The Poches, the Nagelsmanns, the Brendan Rodgers of this world, none of them have won a thing. So there is, and that again, that isn't a problem to me as a person, as an individual. The problem is this fan base has zero patience. And when you have zero patience, it doesn't take long. 18 months. I mean, I think Aaron said it will give Poch 18 months. That may not be long enough with this board for a manager to come in and turn things around. It also depends how far away we are from every bit. Like, one sec, Ram. It also depends on where you are in comparison to everybody else. Because if there are 3 or 4 teams in front of you, you might improve dramatically. But if the other teams get better, you still might only be the 4th or 5th best team in England. You have to have context. Everybody, no, 18 months, you've got to be winning, or you're not good enough for this club. It's such an arbitrary thing, kind of a benchmark to give somebody, but that's what they'll do. So if you want 18 months of success, you have to go for someone that's renowned for having success, in my opinion. What were you going to say, Ram? Sorry, mate.
I was going to say, like, would you say 18 months in terms of winning a major like the Champions League or the Premier League? Because with that, when Klopp first came in, I was hoping that the 3rd season we would challenge for those type of titles. Are you saying these fans are saying 18 months just to win the Champions League or Premier League?
Listen to their rhetoric, which I will never allow them to get away with. This squad, without Ollie as a coach, is good enough to be challenging. That's what go back to the Ollie out debate a week ago. This squad's good enough to challenge. That means any manager that comes in, they all think's good enough, an Allegri, a Poch, a Nagelsmann, whichever one they individually pick, means you've got to be challenging quickly. If the squad's good enough with a good enough coach, it should be quick, right? It should be snap your fingers and we're challenging. Interestingly, that will change if their favorite coach comes in and doesn't win straight away with some of them. They'll be like, no, see, it's a squad, man. It's a squad. They'll switch who's to blame and they'll give him more time. But there'll be lots that won't do that. There'll be lots that will just be straight on the bandwagon of, no, not good enough, get rid of him. Cameron's on the line with us. Cam, what you saying, bro?
Hey, man. I'm chilling, man. Doing well. I just want to talk about I have a really extreme level of calm right now when it comes to Ollie. And the reason being is when I look at the table, and that's kind of how I'm going on for this season, because I think I agree with you on the whole sense of why are we changing the manager just to get back into a situation of like, it's going to bring us to a place where we're comfortable moving forward or whatnot. It's like, if it's not a manager that's going to win us a league, then what are we doing? Like, it doesn't make sense because right now we're in a place where we finished top 4 last year. You look at the table right now, we're still in a place where we could easily finish top 4. So changing the manager, changing the system, changing everything doesn't make sense. And just to go over some of the teams, like I'm looking at this right now, and we have Leicester, who's top of the table. They've lost 2 games. You have Tottenham, who've drawn 2, lost 1. Liverpool have drawn 2, lost 1. Like Chelsea, drawn 3, lost 1. Like no team is that much further ahead of us at the current state. It's just everybody looks at it and they're like, oh, we're in 14th. We're in 14th with a game in hand because we started later. Everybody's up and down right now. The league is still completely wide open. It's so early. So the win against Everton was a must win. And so will be the next. What I want to see from Ollie now is just a consistent run of 5, 6, 7, 8 games. If that happens, I don't think there's a fan out there that can be calling for his head, because it's just like we're in no different situation than we would be, like you're saying, unless we bring in somebody like Allegri and you're okay with the pragmatic style of football he plays, because that is how he plays, but it wins leagues.
Yeah.
Then why bring in a new manager? What's the point?
And Cam, I get where you're coming from. My view is, again, it isn't even about the managers, it's the board. Because if you've started chatting to Poch 2 weeks ago because you think Ollie's done, then you think Ollie's done. A win against Everton and beating West Brom and then beating Istanbul, it's not going to save him if we then lose 3-0 to City, because it'll be straight away, knives it out again, and I'll start the chat. The problem is we annoy people along the way. Forget fans for a minute. You can't be chatting to Poch about bringing him in and go, actually, Ollie's won a couple of games, we're going to keep him now, mate. This is what we did before. Like, we're going to end up burning our opportunity for him. And do you know what? If we miss out on Poch and he goes to PSG and he wins them the Champions League, of course he'll win the domestic league there, and he wins them the Champions League, or he takes over from Pep at City and wins the Premier League in his first season, that's when I'll turn around to these fans that are like, oh, the biggest problem is the manager's not the board. It's like, yo, that could end up being the third manager who's gone on to win a Premier League that we've missed out on because we haven't got our ducks in a row soon enough. That's more where my concern is with this. Rack's on the line with us now. I don't think we can speak to Rack much yesterday when he came on the stream. What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, I'm good. Tell you, right?
I'm very well, thank you, mate.
Yeah, I just want to touch on this Solskjaer thing. I'm not. I know. I remember back in last season, people were saying that Ollie might be going out, and I actually think the board are going to try and do everything they can to back him, and they will only sack him as a last resort, because I think that's kind of the route that United have been going down a little bit. Like they don't want to be seen as a firing club as you were with Jose and with Louis van Gaal. Obviously kind of done a bit cloak and dagger with Van Gaal. I think they want to try and give him as much opportunity to achieve, and then if they feel they need to pull the trigger, they will. I don't know. Maybe they are speaking to Poch a little bit, but I guess it's a wise move. You could argue that at least they're putting the feelers out there and seeing what happens. I don't know. I don't think it's imminent. And like Cam was saying, I don't reckon. I think it's way too early to be talking about. It's like, look, I don't think Ollie is going to be good enough, but he hasn't proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he's not good enough just yet. So I can't see him being sacked in the short term. Especially, as far as Allegri's concerned, just about Allegri, like if you go, I don't rate Allegri. Like he won at Juve, but everyone wins at Juve, and I don't. I lived in Italy. I know Italian football pretty well. Yeah. I don't rate him. So,
and I take your point on board on that. I don't know enough about him to have a thorough opinion. I think what you say is right. And you know what's interesting? Ollie isn't good enough to win us the league or the Champions League, but Man United fans have got to understand that isn't the standard of which the board set. I don't care what they write on paper. As long as you can make the Champions League, they're happy to an extent. So it's like, sometimes I feel like they'd be happy if we went out of the Champions League in the group stages, because then the Europa League, we might win it and qualify again. Although if you can have a favourable run and get to the quarterfinals or maybe scrape a semi of the Champions League, you earn a hell of a lot more. Our base mark is Champions League group stage money. That's what the club want. If you get yourself to a quarterfinal or a semi-final, that's almost the equivalent of 2 years group stage Champions League money. That does for the owners, and it's just that's the problem with it. They're happy with it. Becomes a kind of vicious circle. They end up becoming happy with Ollie as long as we're in and around the top four. And right now, whether fans like it or not, top four is still achievable with Ollie and the players that we've got. And
it's way too early to dismiss that.
Of course, right? We found form last year and went 25 games where we only lost 2 and went on a great run. Man United are capable of going on a run such as that again, because we've done it before. And at the beginning of this season has been awful. I mean, if you take out the Istanbul defeat midweek, just for a moment, the league form since the 6-1 defeat of Tottenham hasn't been that bad. Yes, the Arsenal game is annoying, but if we'd have beaten Istanbul well, like we were predicted to, and beat Everton like we did, there'd have been less of a fallout. Do you get where I'm coming from? It's the accumulation of these things. Yeah.
And 6 points in the Champions League, 6 points from your first 3 games is an acceptable return. Obviously, the games just didn't come in, the wins just didn't come in the right order, But if you're talking about going away to PSG, I don't think too many Man United fans would have been.
Yeah, and I get that, and that's the problem with all of it with fans is you're in this situation where we could beat West Brom, beat Istanbul, beat City, beat Leipzig, and then lose 3-0 to Southampton, and certain fans will say, "See, told you Ollie's not good enough." And but you can literally go from one to the other so quickly, and it's kind of like I want to get to a point where instead of fans, can we just come to a consensus where where you can react to the game and be like, "We were disgraceful today, Ollie got it wrong today," but where you're not like it's like Aaron's now gone completely Ollie out, and I want to use people on the football terrace because he's completely Ollie out. What I'd love to understand is what would make you change your mind, because there has to be something that would make you change your mind. But when I say change your mind, I'm not talking about like okay, I'm going to back him again now, and then you lose 2 games on the bounce and you're back to wanting him out. Like, what would make you back him to say, he may not be my preference, he may not be my... And this is the thing. Man United have, let's just say we have 250 million fans worldwide. You're never going to find a manager that everybody wants and rates. But there has to be something that makes you all say, if he does X, I'll back him. And that's why I think win percentage is the right thing. Because style's too much of a preference. The way he talks in a press conference is a preference. Does he stand on the touchline and coach or sit on his ass and watch an iPad? That's a preference. So it has to come down to how many games out of 10 is he winning?
It's just got to be win percentage.
Yeah, it's really the only fair way to judge him when there's so much preference. And on the point about the Glazers picking the manager now or not, Liverpool are a well-run club. City are a well-run club. There'll come a point, if Poch isn't going to agree to a new deal by December, there'll come a point by the end of January where City will probably announce who their next new manager is going to be because they'll get their ducks in a row. And that's the next 4 years is more important than the season that they're currently in. It may or may not dismantle it. The same as Liverpool. When Klopp is coming to the end, whether it's the last year of his contract or not, if you guys got to the December and things were going wrong and there was a new manager available, but you could only get him now, and he was the number one choice, you guys would make that decision. Whether it would be, look, we're signing him and he's coming at the end of the season, or whether he's coming in now, your board would make the decision which is best for the club in the medium to long term, as opposed to the right here and now, because it's about getting your manager. It's about getting the right person to come in at the right time. Now, ideally, you'd like to plan it so that it was as seamless as possible. With Man United,
I think we already
and you're probably already planning who your next manager is going to be, and there will be that seamless process. Every now and then, things can go skew with. But with Man United, there is literally, and this is why I keep saying to these fans that are like attacking Ollie, there's such a scattergun approach to the way we do things. How you'll focus, like, I can't even focus on the managers, because we can sit here and debate how 100 different managers would make us better or worse. I just can't look beyond the end of the fact that we're already pissing off Pochettino, and we haven't even employed him yet. We're already making him angry, and we haven't even employed him yet. It's just farcical that people want to focus on the individual managers themselves. We've got a super chat here from Nosak who says, okay, let's say we forget about Ollie out for a second. Say we finish this year with 64 points and 6th place. Where 538 projects us at the moment. Okay, is that a website or something? Okay, what do we do? Well, we probably sack the manager, I would say.
Yeah, I think there's a simple thing here.
Yeah, okay.
Like, why can't we just let a manager live out this contract? If we stay in my mind, it's like, instead of, unless something crazy happens where Ollie loses like the last 15, 20 games, or in the Jose situation, because I will always continue to say I like Jose. I was never a Jose out guy, but when it got so toxic with the players, he had to go. Like, when you have a point of, like, when there's Instagram posts going out and players attacking it, that's when it's a problem, because that's when you've lost the dressing room and you have to go. I don't care how, like, same thing happened with Pot. For me, it's like, you gave him a 3-year contract. If there is nobody better out there, like we've said, but we also don't trust the board to make the decisions. But I'm just putting that aside, because, like, how I feel about the board, Terry. It's like, I'm completely like, I buy bootleg shit. I don't even care about the board. But since we can't trust the board to make a decision right off the bat and make a smart one, why not just let his contract run out? And then in the last 6 months, like you said, do exactly what a City or whatever. You start then interviewing new managers, because at that point, Ollie's not going to be offended. The team's not going to be offended. Nobody's going to be offended. It's like, you've run the process. You've done something properly. You gave him a contract. In those 3 years, he fixed our structure. He got out dead weight. He lifted the spirits. He did everything he had to do, and he hit his ceiling. At that point, it's a nice clean break. We're now going to try and find a manager that can win for us. That's what we should be doing. Unless like, again, it implodes and it goes to complete sideways and we're about to be relegated or something. Like, people, like, our fan base has way too much of it's a spoiled fan base at the point. And I think Pep winning right away was probably one of the worst things that could happen for any of the top 6 teams, because it's like, everybody now expects new manager to come in, 1 year on, you win the league. Nonsense. But absolutely nonsense. And that discredits how good the Prem is.
Well, it does, but it also, people like to they love a bit of revisionism and to rewrite history. Man City have been a well-oiled machine and well-run football club since 2009. And they were a good team that you took over from. Only a year prior to him coming in, they were the Premier League champions. They just came to the end of their natural gestation period with Pellegrini, and it had gone a little bit stale, and somebody new came in, and then it took him a year to kind of implement his style and get his people through the door, and then it kind of clicked. But City have been a top team in the Premier League now for about a decade, and they've just been slowly building to this crescendo where they're meant to be winning the Champions League. That's another debate for another day. Liverpool situations, I don't think Jurgen Klopp would have been as successful if he came into Liverpool 4 years earlier, because the team was still learning, the team was still developing, and it takes time for
FSG was still learning as well.
Exactly, and it takes time for the club to find its feet. You know, if City were to open up and be honest, I bet there was mistakes they made in the first 5 or 6 years that they had the money and the support that they don't make anymore. Things that held them back, bad decisions they made, people they employed, whatever it may be, and you learn from that. The problem I have with Man United, and it just doesn't get spoken about enough, maybe because it isn't a sexy subject for people, but our board do not seem to learn from our mistakes. We continue to do, and like I've said, I'll keep repeating this until it drums into people's heads. We're already annoying Poch, and he hasn't even arrived. And that for me is palpable. We've got some super chats here. The first one from Yazir, who says, "For once, I wish a manager could just see out his project." I mean, that would be very interesting. Mr. Singh here says, "Tell me, from when Ollie became permanent, is there any performance improvement? There's little patches here and there. It's all the same." Well, look, what I would say about that is this: the win percentage is about 56%, which means you're right, it's very inconsistent. There's no doubt. But we did go on a 40 odd game run where the win percentage is around 70%. So there has been a turnaround. And how we know that is if you look at his overall win percentage from permanent manager, it's about 55%. By the way, it's better than Frank Lampard's, better than Arteta's, but none of them are good. However, from when he was appointed until January last year, it was around 35%. From January 2020 until now, it's around 70%. So what I would say to your point, Mr. Singh, is that there's been a point where he's improved. There's been a point where he's improved dramatically. But I do think Ollie has a ceiling. Ollie's form for nearly 12 months now is good enough to make Man United get into the top 4. The problem, what you need to be fearful of as a Man United fan, is that the board are happy with that. And if he makes top 4, they will keep him on. If he gets to the end of his 3rd season and we're in the top 4, do not be surprised if they offer him a new contract. And this is why I say the fans focus on the board, because they're the ones holding us back. Now, you might think, well, Ollie should just walk away if he loves the club. He's not going to do that because he will believe in himself. He'll think, oh, I can get better. Maybe we can get there. You know, whatever it may be, he's going to keep pushing in that direction. But at the end of the day, this club is happy to come 4th. This club's happy to come 8th if we win the Europa League or the Champions League. Can you imagine? They're happy with that. They care about the money, and their decisions will always be dictated by that.
What I would say though, Tel, is I do think United have changed their transfer approach, their transfer strategy a little bit, because they've moved away from buying a Schweinsteigers and those kind of middle of the road, run of the mill type players, and you are going for, like, even with Lukaku, for example.
Can I just sorry? Can I just real quickly, because I just want to. That is not the board. That is Ollie. And that's where I think Terry's point still holds true, is that that's not the board.
Ollie didn't recruit Lukaku. Ollie didn't recruit
nobody
Martial.
got rid of him.
No, but Ollie didn't recruit Martial. I mean, as obviously I'm not a United fan, but looking as an outsider, it seems to be the move. And to be fair, this isn't just a move for United. I think, generally speaking, most big clubs are now moving towards a model where they try and recruit younger players, because they appreciate the time that it takes to bed players in. Even, like, I'm going to give Juve as an example. Part of the reason why they were looking to bring in, or they're looking to bring in a Pep or someone like that, as apart from to change the style of play, is to make it a more youthful, dynamic system. And Liverpool have been there, done it. Chelsea are doing it now. United, I think, in my opinion, have been trying to do it. So I think that's a general trend in football. Also, just because if you can get a player who's young, who's going to become world class, you save yourself a shit ton of money.
There's a super chat here from I've got a member chat here from TTX Productions, who says Nagelsmann will go to Liverpool and Poch will go to PSG if we stick with Ollie, so the board is under pressure. And do you know what's interesting? If that happened, you'd have outrage from Man United fans. But what they would do is take the outrage out on Ollie And that's what I find so interesting. They you know, they're like the typical wife beater. Do you know what I mean? It's generally other things. It's true. It's generally other things in their life that they're sad, upset, and angry with, but they take it out on somebody that doesn't deserve it. It's like, okay, if our board are so incompetent, they find the wrong managers, they employ the wrong managers, they don't bring in the right recruitment, they run the club badly. But it's like, oh, I'm angry, but what am I going to do? I'm going to take it out on my manager, or I'm going to take it out on Rashi, or I'm going to take it out on Pogba, or I'm going to take it out on Maguire. That's what we do. It's, you know, we're basically it's like wife beater fan base. We're just angry about the way it's all being run. Let's just take it out on an easy target, and it's always the manager. You know, it's just simply how it feels to me. But boys, I appreciate you guys joining me on the stream. Everybody that's tuned in, make sure you smash that like button. Please go into the link in the description below and sign up to our newsletter and to the Football Terrace Clips account on YouTube. You'll find all the links for that in the description below. Thank you for all the super chats today. Until next time, take care of yourselves, people. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.
Yes, brother.